We conservatives have been forced to hear one news account after another describing the Republican Party's collapse. Gallup and the Wall Street Journal recently released polls that showed the GOP was suffering through its lowest approval ratings ever. Now, these low numbers, they're temporary. But the bigger challenge is how we as a party move forward to victory in 2016 and beyond. Let's face it, the prospects don't look bright. Our party has lost the popular vote in 5 out of the last 6 presidential elections. Young voters and educated Americans are moving away from our party at record rates. And the fastest growing demographic groups in America, they can't break to the Democratic Party fast enough. With the Republican Party seemingly on an ideological glide path to irrelevance as a presidential force, it may be difficult to remember, but we used to be the ones to beat. From 1968 to 2008, Republicans only lost when Democrats took care to sound more conservative than liberal. Between Richard Nixon and Barack Obama, the only Democrats to win the White House, well, they were 2 white Southern Baptists who sought the position by calling themselves non-traditional Democrats. And for that 40-year period, the GOP was the mainstream of American politics. But we as conservatives, well, in between the 2 terms of Barack Obama, now face the possibility of 8 more years with a Clinton in the White House. All too often these days, it's the Republicans to middle-class voters who sound angry, extreme, and out of touch. Now, I know that seems really hard to hear. And it's as hard for you as a Republican to hear as it is for me as a Republican to say. But the numbers don't lie. If the Republican Party wants to regain its place as a decisive force in American politics, it must grow its base. It must re-engage with its real legacy, and it must remember that principled conservatism is a must. But it has to be combined with clear-eyed pragmatism of Ike and Ronald Reagan. You know, friends, things may look bad now, but the good news is, and there is good news here, that the Republican Party is always at its best when the odds are longest. Think about Barry Goldwater's crushing defeat in 1964. Every liberal columnist in America said it was the end of the conservative movement for a generation. 2 years later, an actor from California was elected governor and began a conservative movement that changed America forever. So the questions for us today is for us to consider how the Republican Party gets back into the White House, not just in 2016, but beyond. But we need to focus on 2016 because 16 years of Democratic Supreme Court appointments and 16 years of Democratic control of the executive branch, well, they're going to impact the balance of power in America for the next 50 years. It's past time for conservatives of all stripes to come together and unify this party. I'd really appreciate you telling me how our Republican Party reunites with its proud heritage, how we reconnect with middle-class voters, and how we win back the White House for a generation to come. And you can do that by emailing me at joe@rightpath.tv. Let's start that conversation today.